Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, December the 21st, 2016, the last show of 2016, and thank God this year is almost over. It's been an awful, awful year in so many ways. Let's just get through these last 10 days and get into 2017. So there won't be a show between Christmas and New Year's. There never has been. Only ever do the shows. Christmas and New Year's is time off for me and for you guys, and not a lot of news going on. Apple literally shuts down. A lot of companies shut down them, but Apple as a company shuts down. So what that means is don't expect any app updates. Don't get freaked out by not seeing any of your apps updating because Apple shuts down. So the App Store, for all intents and purposes, for the update point of view, also shuts down. So it's a little reminder to folks. Every year you'll see people going, I haven't gotten an update in X number of days, and that's the reason why. On tonight's show, we'll talk. Excuse me. On tonight's show, we'll talk to a good friend. By the way, show number 1119, 1119. Tonight, we'll talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about Apple. Yesterday was the 20th anniversary of Apple buying Next, or again, as us old timers say, Next buying Apple. Because a lot of executives from Next moved into executive positions at Apple. A lot of those folks are gone now, but it can be argued that was one of the most momentous buyouts ever, because Apple was literally a dying company before they bought Next, and Next came with OS X basically, and it can be argued that certainly helped save the company along with the iMac. So we'll talk to Jim about that. We're also going to talk about ignoring the Mac. Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg wrote a story yesterday with zero evidence. It's all people behind the scenes, so keep that in mind, that Apple is ignoring the Macintosh. Do you think that's true? We'll talk to Jim about that. And also, as we talked about on last week's show, we'll talk more about Tim Cook met with Donald Trump and explained his actions to Apple employees. We'll talk to Jim about that as well, among other things. We'll talk about the year-end stuff. One of the problems we've been having in 2016 is this whole thing of fake news. And fake news is its own problem. I think a bigger problem is false news or inaccurate news. That's almost more insidious. A perfect example of it was, I saw this all over the place yesterday on Facebook in particular, that, let me just pull this up for you guys, that last night in this regard, will be the darkest night of the past 500 years. Now, when I read that, I thought, really? Why is that? Oh, because there's a solar eclipse on the same night as the longest night of the year. And I thought, well, that's not true. The problem is, look who posted this. This is posted by John Perry Barlow, co-founder of the Electronic Frontier Foundation, a supposedly smart guy. This is where the news gets really scary, is when supposedly, and then he was retweeted by Dan Gilmore, another smart guy. Whenever you see news that makes you go, wow, check into the news. Because the thing is, all you had to do was on the John Perry Barlow post, he links to a IO9 Gizmodo story. So I clicked on the IO9 Gizmodo story because I wanted to check it out. And the first thing I noticed was the date, 12/20/10. 10. It's a story from 6 years ago that somehow nobody bothered to click on it and read the byline, read the date of the story. This stuff gets more dangerous all the time, almost more dangerous than the full-on fake news. I said that it's been a terrible year. Somebody that very few of you will ever heard of, but I knew, not personally, but knew and liked very, very much, Howard Bingham. That name means nothing to you at all, but Howard was Muhammad Ali's best friend. And I was lucky enough to interview Howard many, many years ago, probably 15 years ago, at a Macworld Expo, about his friendship with Ali. They actually met up in Louisville And Howard was just driving down the street, and he saw these guys standing on the side of the street, and he offered him a ride. And one of the guys was Ali, and they were friends ever since. Howard was a wonderful, very sweet guy. He had a stutter, like I did, so he and I had that in common. Really interesting guy, great photographer, amazing photographer. I wish we had stayed in touch because I wasn't a photographer then. I kind of am now. I would love to talk to him about his photography of Ali. But yeah, another great loss this year was Howard Bingham. 'Tis the season for a lot of things. One of the things that I personally do, that I have to do, is I love Christmas carols. I like old Christmas carols. I don't like the Mariah Carey thing or Jingle Bell Rock or anything like that. I like the traditional Christmas carols. I also like the traditional Christmas movies. What's your favorite Christmas movie? And I will argue that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's a movie set at Christmas time, but it's not a Christmas movie. It's got nothing to do with the spirit of Christmas. It's got nothing to do with why we celebrate this. It just happens to be set during Christmas. Miracle on 34th Street is a classic Christmas movie that I try to watch every year. Wonderful, wonderful movie about Christmas and about Santa Claus. The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. I watch that every single year. I have since I was a child. Every year I can recite the whole thing. I love the song. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. And the other one I always watch is A Christmas Carol. The 1951 version, not the Scrooge version, Bill Murray, which I think sucked. But the 1951 version with Alistair Sims as Scrooge, I think is the best Christmas version of the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol. I've never seen It's a Wonderful Life. I've never had any interest in it. It always seems too saccharine to me. White Christmas, I've seen once, didn't like it, wasn't crazy about it. The Muppet Christmas Carol is another Christmas movie people talk about. I don't care about it. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, another Christmas thing. Same with the Charlie Brown Christmas. I haven't watched those ones in years. Home Alone, people say it's a Christmas movie. I don't think it is. I've only seen that once. And National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I don't think that's in the top 10 of Christmas movies. Macman says, anything but A Christmas Story. I hate that movie. Yeah. Dave D says, my fave is George C. Scott in Christmas Carol. I've seen that one. I like it, but I still maintain that the Alistair Sims 1951 version is better. I love Patrick Stewart's one-man show of him reading A Christmas Carol, doing all those character voices himself. I haven't seen that one. But yeah, those are the three that I watch. What are your Christmas pleasures that you do over and over again? I know those are some of mine. Another thing I saw over the week as I was getting ready for the show was I love hearing people's Christmas traditions, what they do on certain days. Like, when do you open your Christmas presents? I know a lot of folks open them on Christmas Eve, and then they'll go to church late on Christmas Eve night. We were always allowed to open one present on Christmas Eve, and the problem is my mother always chose the present, and it was always pajamas. So you went to bed Christmas Eve on brand new pajamas. It was the suckiest part about Christmas Eve. You open a present, but it's pajamas. Mom, stop that. But we always we were allowed to get up whenever we wanted to on Christmas morning, but we weren't allowed to wake up Mom and Dad because they were hungover. We couldn't make any noise until like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. when they woke up and made coffee. So what would happen is we had our Christmas stockings, and we would all, my brothers and sisters and I, would all go into my room instead of my bed and open up our Christmas stocking, and then you'd trade things back and forth. You know, there was always a couple of Hot Wheel cars in there, and there was candy, and there's always a Mandarin Orange. It was so funny when I first moved out here to British Columbia, and like in July, saw Mandarin Oranges on sale. I was like, that's weird, because in my head, Mandarin Oranges are just for Christmas. That's the only time you ever ate mandarin oranges in Nova Scotia was at Christmas time. Same with the bowl of mixed nuts. My mother always put out all over the house bowls of mixed nuts. The only time you ever ate them was at Christmas time. Shortbread cookies were only eaten at Christmas time. What other foods did you only eat at Christmas time? For me, those are the big ones. So 55% of the people said that they open presents on Christmas Day. 17% say on Christmas Eve. 24% on Christmas Day and on Christmas Eve. And 4% on another day. I got to assume those are probably maybe folks like the Russian Orthodox who don't celebrate Christmas until, I think, January 6th. I think that's when they do theirs. Macman says, we always went to my grandparents' house on Christmas Eve. For us, family visits were always, you went and visited close family on Christmas Day afternoon, and then you went and visited family friends on Boxing Day, the 26th. I know Americans don't know what Boxing Day is, but it's a British Commonwealth kind of thing. That's kind of interesting that only 55% of the people say they open their presents on Christmas Day. I would have assumed it was a lot more than that, but it's a self-selecting poll. So I'm curious when you guys open up your presents. Send me emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com anytime during the show. Also, thanks very much to everyone who sent in video for the Christmas greetings. I got some wonderful videos from folks. I got a very, very special one I saved to last, and you'll see which one that is. If you don't see your video, my apologies. I've been having email problems the last few days. A bunch of folks said that they had sent me emails with the videos, and I didn't get them. And it wasn't until I started asking around. People said, no, I sent it on Monday, and I didn't get them. So my apologies if you sent in a video and you don't see it in the list. It wasn't because it wasn't good enough. I put them all in there. Even the ones with crappy sound, the ones I got, I put in there. So if you sent one, I didn't get to it, my apologies. If you'd like, you can do another one for New Year's. For the first show in 2017, the first Wednesday in 2017, we'll do another video for that if you like. I love getting these videos. I love you guys sending in videos wishing everyone else a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all that kind of stuff. I think it's kind of cool. The neat thing is seeing from people literally around the world sending these things in. So Scott Thrift in Australia. Dude, where's your video? I want to see an Australian video. I got a video from the UK, from Canada, from the United States, from Marcus Mendez in Brazil. Dude, where's your video? Today is today's the shortest day of the year. So good news is it's only going to get better from here, kids. Later on the show, after this break, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about the week's news. All that and more coming up. This is Your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. This is Your Mac Life. I am Shawn King, joined on our phone now by our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
Good.
So, 2016, how was it for you?
2016 sucked balls.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of fun, was it?
No.
There's not a lot good that we can be said of 2016. So let's hope for both you, me, and everyone we know is 2017 is a much better time. Let's talk about the fact that yesterday was the anniversary, the 20th anniversary of Apple buying Next. This is one of those events that people have been saying is the most monumental buyout in the history of buyouts. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it was huge.
It's hard to think of another one that over time made such a huge difference. I mean, people, as I've said to people over the last couple of days, they forget how bad off Apple was, don't they?
Oh yeah, people don't realize that Apple was basically bankrupt.
Yeah.
You know, when Steve came back and took over, they had about 3 months.
Yeah.
And that was it. They were done. I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, I remember the talk at the time that, you know, Sony was going to buy Apple and Disney was going to buy Apple. And it wasn't just Apple. It was beleaguered Apple.
Yeah, always.
You know, always. So, you know, it was quite a time. It was quite a time that I think we all saw some hope, because the operating system that they were supposed to put out at that time was codenamed Copeland.
Yes.
And, you know, we weren't sure what Copeland was going to be, but we desperately needed a next-gen operating system that was going to be able to power everything.
But there wasn't a lot of faith in Copeland either, was there?
Mm-mm. No, there was no faith in Copeland, which is why they went looking.
Yeah.
And, you know, the talk was BOS
Yes.
or Next.
Yep.
And nobody really thought that they would buy Next because of Steve.
That's right, yeah.
Because they didn't want to, you know, grab that tiger by the tail again.
That's right.
But, you know, as it turned out, they did go to Steve. And I think, you know, it was a good thing. BOS was great. There was no, you know, nothing like that. But, you know, obviously with what Steve did in the years following was incredible.
I think the biggest deal when it came to B was, people assumed that Jean-Paul Gasset, who was the owner of B at the time, or the CEO of that company.
Jean-Louis
Gasset, formerly of Apple, and then had left and had created this B operating system. It was further along than Next was, and because everyone just assumed that Steve Jobs was poison, there was no way Gil Amelio and the board of directors would ever invite Jobs back. That being said, do you think that CEO was what Jobs was after at the very beginning?
Oh, no. Jobs wanted to rule the entire fucking world. Yeah, I mean, that was his triumphant return. I mean, you know, he made these big plays publicly, you know, at Macworlds and things like, I'm going to be CEO. I'll be the interim CEO until the board finds somebody. You know, but everybody knew it was going to be him. That was just his game, his way of saying to the board, I can walk, you know, I can go anytime. No big deal to me. Lots of money. I can go start something else. I can do whatever I want. So, you know, it wasn't the money. I mean, Steve was getting paid $1 a year.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with that. He had money. But I really do believe that he had ideas at that time that he thought could change the world, and they did.
Oh, absolutely. And I firmly believe that when he came back, the CEO was the job he wanted, no matter what he said publicly, no matter what Amelio said. I don't know if Amelia Emilio knew it, and
no, he didn't know it.
No, and I think that is a good thing because it meant Emilio wasn't as smart as either he or others thought he was. If you couldn't see that this was the prodigal son returning home, then you just weren't paying attention. The problem was we all knew Steve Jobs. We all knew, I'm making that air quotes, from the 1985 Steve Jobs and all the horror stories we had heard from before. So we thought, oh, this is going to be a disaster. He's going to come in and be a complete a-hole all over again.
And he was.
He certainly was, but in a different way.
In a different way. I think part of the problem the first time around is that too many people thought that they knew more than what Steve did.
Yeah.
And Steve grew a lot in his time away.
Yes.
And when he came back, he had the ideas for, the iPod and for the iMac and, these things that could rejuvenate this company.
Well, hang on. Let's be clear on that. He didn't have the idea for the iPod, and the iMac was already on the drawing board.
Oh, come on!
It was. Johnny Ive had and
no. I'm not saying that. No, not. I'm saying that Apple wouldn't have gone there without Steve.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, Johnny drew the iMac and had the design for that.
Yeah.
Steve saw the wisdom in that, but I think that he knew it needed to be something like that.
Yes.
In order to rejuvenate the company. And, the iPod, we look at the iPod as such an iconic product. It was a music player, and there were a ton of music players out at the time.
Yeah.
But the way that the iPod worked was different. So, it's hard to say how important that whole thing was.
Yeah.
But it was incredibly important, not just to Apple, but to tech and the world inclusive, everything.
Oh, absolutely. It's. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that decision, and granted it was made by Emilio and the board at that time, who by the way Jobs got rid of very, very quickly afterwards. That decision changed the world, literally. I mean, if that decision hadn't been made, I believe, like you said, 3 months later, Apple would have been out of business or bought by somebody else, and obviously a completely different company. But think of the things that wouldn't have happened. Not that we wouldn't have the iPhone, but that we would still be using flip phones and PDAs. We would still we would still all be staring at boring beige brown boxes.
Well, we don't know where things would have gone, but I think it's pretty safe to say that they wouldn't have gone as quickly.
Yeah.
In the way that, I mean, somebody would have come up with this thought of, a phone the way that Steve did eventually, but it's the whole ecosystem and the way that he built things around the product. For instance, he released the iPod and, built in support for iTunes. The first campaign was rip, mix, and burn.
Yeah.
That's when we would take CDs that we bought, put it into our computers, make a copy of them, and then transfer them to the iPod.
Yeah.
But then soon after, he had the iTunes Music Store.
Yeah.
And that absolutely changed a lot. It was. I mean, right now, it's a fundamental way that we get music.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, it's the only way that we get music. I was talking to someone the other day about they wanted to get music in their office. They have a very quiet office. They're all by themselves. How would they do that? And I said, well, you could go buy a CD player, but why not just get your music off your iPhone? They were like, really? I can do it? Yeah, just get Spotify or Pandora or Apple Music, and rather than carrying CDs back and forth to work or going out and buying new CDs, you can pick whatever music you want and get it directly off of these services. And they was like, oh, yeah. People just...
God. Somebody's just figuring that out now.
Well, they're not that smart. This person's not that bright, so I'm just...
Okay, so you're talking about yourself, right?
Well, a little bit, but not always. Let's move on. Mark Gurman's over at Bloomberg, and he is still breaking the same stories that he broke at 9 to 5, which is to say, full of lack of evidence. There was nothing in the Gurman story that you could point to that said this is a fact. It was all people behind the scenes, suppositions, assumptions. That being said, the basic premise is that Apple is ignoring the Macintosh, in particular the Mac Pro. You read the story. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I said when Tim responded to these media reports that Apple was ignoring the Mac, I said there, look, I understand where people are coming from. I really do, because there haven't been updates in a long, long time. And I get the frustration. I get, everything about it. But I just don't believe that Apple is going to abandon the Mac. I just don't.
Yes.
I don't buy that at all. And somebody posted on Twitter to me today and said, and I think this is a good point, until you can natively program apps on the iPad, the Mac is safe.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. What a great point, right? I mean, people like Federico Vitici take the iPad to the extreme
Yes.
of what it can be used for. I don't.
Yep.
I still use my Mac. I love my Mac, but I'm charging up my iPad Pro right now.
Yeah.
Because I use it as well. My iPhone, actually, I'm outside with my wireless headphones. My iPhone is charging inside.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to you.
Yep.
So, and that's going through doors and walls. So that's pretty good.
I think the basic premise of the story, certainly the headline, how Apple alienated Mac loyalists. I don't think they've alienated them at all, especially if they're loyalists. Words mean things, Mark. Come on. But I do believe that the statement Tim Cook made was in response, even though it came before the publication of this Bloomberg story, it was in response to this story. He knew this story was coming out. Someone at Bloomberg tipped Tim Cook off and said, here's a draft, or this is what we're going to say tomorrow. And Tim Cook posted the response saying, no, we've got a great Macintosh desktop pipeline coming up.
All they probably did was call for a comment.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, without a doubt, they certainly would have done that. But they wouldn't
Nobody had to if they want to comment, they would have to say, look, we're doing the story about how you've let the Mac languish, and we'd like a comment. And they would say no comment, and then go off and do their rebuttal. And is it a good thing that Tim did that? Sure. I mean, there's only so much talk that you can let linger out there. And there's been a lot of talk about this. So, you really have to reassure people, reassure the staff. But, having said all of that, and my own personal views on that the Mac won't go away, but yet, there has been no major updates.
Yeah, 500 days
in quite a while.
Yep.
That's a long time. It's a long time. But again, I say, go back to what I said about the MacBook Pro. Would you rather small updates that really are inconsequential, or do you want to wait for something that's really big? I don't. I'd rather the big one, but when it goes on for a long time.
Is it a matter of Apple being caught between the rock and a hard place? The rock of the traditional customer and the hard place of the iPhone? The iPhone is where Apple makes 63% of its revenue. It's kind of hard to say, well, you should ignore a certain percentage of that revenue in order to go to this other device that is demonstrably less important, not just to your customers, but to the entire computing market. Desktops in every field are being used less and less. The desktop PC market has cratered, has fallen through the floor. No one is buying desktop PCs. They're buying laptops or tablets or 2-in-1s or whatever it might be. So maybe Apple's just saying, hey, we're going where the money is.
Well, but the thing is, Apple has been going where the money is for a lot of years.
Yeah.
but they've still managed to update the desktops as well, and with some quite significant updates. I might add, if you look at where the iMac has come over the past 5-8 years, the design of that has changed dramatically.
Yep.
So yeah, they've I think since 2006, 2007, they saw where the money was going to come from, and it's iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
But they've still kept up with everything else.
People are talking about in the IRC chat room about the idea of a iMac Pro. You think that's even a possibility?
What would that be?
Well, it'd just be an iMac with beefed up everything, beefed up graphics, beefed up RAM, beefed up hard drive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And then what? Sell a shitty one too?
I don't think. Well, they would sell the one they have now, but then they would have another one with better quality components.
But they always do that.
Yes,
they always leave one, a cheaper model on the market for people that want an entry level model. I'll be honest. If they had the, I don't know what size I have, 27-inch iMac right now.
Yep.
And it's a powerful, powerful machine. So if that's what they had on the market, I'd recommend people buy it. Why not?
I don't see Apple making an iMac Pro, if only because the iMac has been historically a consumer level product. I can't see them doing a tower version of the iMac, if you understand what I'm saying.
No. Nothing like that. I can't see that.
No. If Apple's going to make a Pro machine, it's going to be a standalone desktop tower. That being said, aren't the days of standalone desktop towers almost over?
For who?
Well, for the vast majority of people. The vast majority of people, if you accept the premise that Apple is no longer a professional, a company that caters to professionals, they are a consumer electronics company, there's no need for Apple to build a desktop tower anymore, when all the other products serve that consumer electronics market much better.
Well, you're see, there's a couple of different things here. One, I don't buy into the fact that they're completely done with Pro.
Yeah. Because
there are markets, and music is one of them, where these guys rely on that Pro gear.
Sure.
And if Apple just willingly gives it up, which is, some would argue that they already have.
Yep.
In software anyway, but they still have Logic Pro, and from what I know, Logic Pro is still alive and well.
Yep.
So, is that something that they're willing to give up those markets? Maybe, but right now, considering iPhone is going down and the whole smartphone market is going down, they already get the most profit out of that than anybody does. Yep. The iPad and whole tablet thing hasn't really taken off. Personally, I don't like the idea of a tablet / PC all in one.
Yeah, me neither.
So that leaves Apple with the decision: either get out altogether or continue on with both for now. I think that there will come a day when Macs and PCs are no longer needed.
Sure.
I don't think that day is now.
Do you think that, I think it's Wayne says, I could see them doing a Mac version of the new Surface thingy. I can't see Apple doing that. I can't see, because one of the problems is we don't know, because we're not inside Apple. We don't see the spreadsheets. We don't see the money. We don't know how much money Apple has made from the Mac Pro versus how much it costs to develop the Mac Pro. It might be only a 10% difference, in which case they're saying, forget about it. So if they're not willing to update the Mac Pro, I can't see, and the Mac Pro is designed for the entire range of professionals, I can't see Apple developing a Surface-like device with that tilt screen and that kind of stuff for an even smaller niche of the market.
I will guarantee you this. Apple has had prototypes of a Surface-like machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
With, a tablet type thing. And it just It didn't work.
Yeah.
I said when the Surface first came out, I gave Microsoft kudos for trying something different, but it's just not something that I saw as viable for the right now at that time. Will it be in the future? Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's not something that I don't want to touch my computer screen. I want to type and I want to use my mouse for now. As soon as I pick up my iPad, my hands are all over it, of course. You know, my iPhone, hands are all over it. No big deal. But when I sit down to do work, I want my computer.
Over at Apple World today, one of the very, very, very few times our good friend Dennis Sellers has ever made any sense. Let someone else besides Johnny Ive have a go at making the Mac great again. What do you think about that?
Well, I think
the argument is that Johnny Ive... You trip over your shopping cart full of empties? Jesus, dude. How fucking clumsy are you?
I didn't want to yell, but Bob next door to my shopping cart came over and tried to steal an empty.
What a dick Bob is.
I had to chase him away. Look, I think
the argument being that Johnny Ive is a design and software guy. Let someone else design the hardware. That kind of makes sense to me.
But I think you're missing the whole thing, the way things work here.
Yeah.
Johnny doesn't sit down in a vacuum and design things.
Yep.
Johnny will come up with ideas. His new VPs will come up with ideas, and everybody works together to bring these ideas to products.
Yep.
It's not, if Johnny steps out, it's still going to be the same team minus Johnny.
Yeah.
Johnny is a brilliant designer. So, you know, it's not Johnny saying, I've come up with this new idea for a computer, and I'm going to bypass my entire design team and go straight to Tim, and we're going to build this because I said so.
Yeah.
You know, that's not how it works. So to take Johnny out of the mix and to say that Johnny isn't a hardware designer, that he's a software designer, I think that's just a complete misunderstanding. Johnny, as you said earlier, Johnny designed the original iMac.
Yes.
He designed the one since. Now, could it be right now that Johnny is, you know, taking a step back, still involved, but taking a step back? Sure. Wouldn't you, if you had the billions of dollars that he had? I would have been gone long ago.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I would have built my own fucking breach. And I'd kick this animal Bob that keeps trying to steal my empties. You know, I gotta take those in for refund.
Yeah, of course, dude. I mean, it's that time of year. You gotta because you never know what's going to happen. Tim Cook explained in that story about the Mac Pros or the Macs. Tim Cook also explained to Apple employees why he met with President-elect Trump. Did you accept Tim Cook's explanation? Do you pass the smell test?
The basis was you have to be there for the conversation to be involved. And yes, I agree with that. It's like people that don't vote and then complain about the results of the vote.
Yeah.
Well, your time to do something about it was during the vote.
Yeah.
So don't complain afterwards that the vote didn't go the way that you wanted if you didn't even take the time to vote. So in Tim's reasoning here, in order to affect the change that he wants for his company and for his employees, he has to be at the table. He was invited to be at the table, and he went. And I think that was a wise choice.
Hindsight is 20/20. With the look on Cook's face and on many of the other executives, including Bezos, who was there, Do you think that Cook might make a different choice now afterwards? Because it doesn't seem like anything of any kind of substance happened. We don't know what happened. Kara Swisher had some inside sources, which were fairly lame, in my opinion. And Cook and Elon Musk both met with Trump afterward. We don't know what happened in those conversations. But it feels like it was a photo op for Trump, and none of these tech execs got much of anything except being props.
Regardless of what it was, they had to be there.
Yeah.
They did. They had to be there. Because there's a lot riding on this. I mean, you don't want Trump as the president to come after your company.
No.
You want some open dialogue. You know, Tim has some very hard stances on privacy. He has to make those types of stances understandable for the new administration. He doesn't want to go through that again. I can guarantee you Apple does not want to go through this again with the FBI and the courts and all of this kind of stuff. They don't. But at some point, I think we all know they probably will. And unfortunately, it'll probably be a very bad, difficult case that they have to do it for.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot on the line in terms of jobs. There's money, taxes, there's a lot on the line everywhere. Yeah. And you can't expect a company from any country. Trump could just say, or whatever president, I'm not specifically blaming this guy, but you can't say as a president, well, you have $200 billion. Just, spend some of that on the taxes and make me look good.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not a valid reason. Yeah. When Apple moved, when Apple started manufacturing iPhones, Obama asked Jobs at one point, how can we get those jobs back? And he said, you never had those jobs.
Yeah, that's right. They were never going to be here anyway.
So, when you look at the cost of manufacturing in the U.S. or in Canada, you look at the cost of labor, the skill level of the labor, where all of the materials are, and the cost associated with all of that. It would be fiscally irresponsible for any CEO to base the manufacturing here.
Yeah.
And, that's what it comes down to. I mean, the labor force here is not trained, although they could be, I suppose, but it would cost so much money that I think it would only be fair for the government to step in and say, okay, well, we'll give you tax breaks on that money if you create these jobs. I think that's fair.
But the problem with that is it ignores, people think it's just the iPhone, but it's not. There's 8,000 components in the iPhone that come from 8,000 other vendors. You can't bring all of those vendors here to the United States. And the other thing is, what's the point of building an iPhone in America and then shipping it back to China? Because in 5 years, Apple will be selling more iPhones in China than the rest of the world combined. So that seems rather pointless.
Let's not forget that, and you bring up a deeper point than just that. Because if Apple pulls out of China, they probably won't sell a single iPhone there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because China won't let them.
Yep.
So, there are some very difficult things that are going to happen, but Apple is in a hard place right now. You talked about the proverbial rock in a hard place. Well, the rock is China and the hard place is Trump.
Yeah.
So what do you do? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it's a very, very difficult thing. I mean, you can't take a tens of $billion company and just say start making your products here.
Yeah, that's right.
That doesn't work.
No.
What ultimately may be a better response from Apple is to move its headquarters out of America.
Which, by the way, okay, I predicted 5 years ago.
Yeah, I said the same thing. If this stuff happens, maybe Apple wants to be a German company.
Yep.
I don't think that America would treat, or that Germany would treat them like America does. Maybe they would. I don't know. And I say treat them like America does before they've actually treated them badly.
Yeah.
So I'm making some assumptions here, and we're going down that road of you have to produce here, or we're going to fine you or whatever it is.
That's right.
They haven't done that, but the talks have certainly been out there. So Apple is in a very difficult position. So getting back to the original question, I think it was very important that Tim be there. And he has to be part of the conversation to at least get his points across. Look, fucking Bob sneaking up again. Get out of here. Get away from my shopping cart.
I think
all the wheels on my shopping cart work too. There's no wobbly things going. They all work.
I think that it was important for the CEO of Apple to be there. I don't think Tim Cook wanted to be there. You know what I mean?
I don't think
the difference?
I don't think any of them wanted to be there. But they all had to be there.
Yeah, I agree.
There was only one person that wasn't there, as far as I know. And wasn't that the CEO of Uber? Because he was in India traveling. Now, if I knew this was coming up, I would probably go to India too.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, sorry, you can't make it. That's right. No. Let's move on. I saw this on Twitter and thought it seemed strange. People are complaining about this. Apple's new AirPods. If you don't have an internet connection, like when you're on a plane or the subway, they can't control the volume. Is this really some kind of a big deal to people?
What? Wait. AirPods can't control the volume anyway.
Yes, they can. Can't you change the volume on the AirPods?
No.
I thought you could. I thought you could tap or double tap or triple tap or whatever it is on AirPods and change the volume.
No.
You can't slide your finger up and down well, that's stupid design then.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
I'm trying to change the volume.
You can't. Hang on. Via Siri. Can you tell Siri to change the volume? He's probably dropped me now. Haven't you, you dick? You did, didn't you? You're such an idiot. You are. You hung up on me, didn't you? You moron. Although I am happy to say that after 10 years, finally Jim hung up on me.
So I tried to triple tap and I hung up on you.
After 10 years, you finally hung up on me.
I'm trying to slide my finger up and down the AirPods. And
no.
Then I triple tapped them and I hung up and went, fuck.
But using Siri, you use Siri to change the volume, right? Hey Siri, increase the volume, decrease the volume, whatever it might be, right?
Hold on.
All right.
No, Siri won't work on FaceTime.
Really?
No, Siri doesn't work when I'm on FaceTime. I'll try that, but
But anyway, the idea is that Siri can change the volume on your music via the AirPods, right?
Okay.
So this guy is saying you can't do that when you don't have the internet connection. Well, of course you can't because it uses Siri. And Siri requires the internet to work.
Makes sense.
So why is this guy complaining? He's complaining about the AirPods, but it's not about the AirPods. It's about Siri. Jesus, I hate some of these people. You had a story about the Uber, the whole Uber mess down in California, down in San Francisco last week, where they
Oh dear, yeah.
where they running red lights and they're ignoring the government and all kind of stuff, and that's a whole different story. But Counter Notions on Twitter had this really, really interesting thought experiment. Follow along with me, if you will. If future cars are self-driving in every way, shape, and form, right? Can a 10-year-old be the sole passenger?
I don't know.
Can a 10-year-old be the only passenger in a truly self-driving vehicle?
Well, why not?
This is one of those things that we're in such a rush to do this that we don't stop and think about the implications of doing the thing we're talking about. The problem that Uber is having with bike lanes in San Francisco, the problems of Lyft and all these other self-driving companies, where the technology is going so much faster than our laws and our ethics and our morality, that we're in a very real danger of having these things go so much faster that we can't catch up. But it's an interesting question, isn't it? If it's a self-driving car, why can't a 10-year-old kid be in it? Susan Gare says, oh, hell no, as the mom of a 10-year-old kid. I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer to the question. Hello? Jim? Did I lose you again? Call failed. Call back. Oh, my God. Okay, look, stop.
That time it just came up and said FaceTime audio failure.
Stop playing with your AirPods. So we lost the thread. Can a 10-year-old be the sole passenger in a self-driving car?
Well, if a 10-year-old can hop into a car that's self-driving and say, take me to school or take me to the game shop, I guess so.
It's an interesting idea, though, isn't it? And it's the problem. It's the problem we're going to have with technology outstripping our laws and our ethics and our morality.
It's a lot different than when, as kids, we used to steal our parents' cars. But
did you ever steal your dad's car?
I'm not going to say stole.
Borrowed without permission?
I might have done that.
I definitely did that. I stole my dad's truck. Oh yeah, he went up to Florida and left the keys on the door. Dude, I'm so gone. I'm so gone. Come on. My problem was my dad was a smart and/or sneaky guy, and he had checked the odometer. I didn't.
You know what my dad used to do?
What?
He used to go around and check, put his hands on the tires to see if I was.
And finally, we'll let you go on this story. Serenity Caldwell had a Twitter storm about her trip to the airport. Turns out her flight had been canceled. Delayed, finally canceled. People were upset. 2 hours for everyone to get their itineraries figured out. Someone says that the flight was canceled because the plane was in mid-flight when an attendant noticed a Wi-Fi hotspot, a Galaxy Note 7 Wi-Fi hotspot. So some idiot had taken or brought on board a Galaxy Note 7, forced the plane to turn the hell around and land as soon as it could. Now, there are several problems with this story. One of them is it took Serenity several hours to get this information. And it sounds like she just overheard it from somebody else. The airline itself never told me. They just kept saying delay, canceled. And I hate when airlines do that. Just be honest with the customer. Just say, hey, there was an in-flight emergency. We had to turn the plane around. Don't keep delaying things in the hopes that things will get better, because you just make shit worse for the passengers. The worst part is it turns out that she updated the story, and it turned out it was some other asshat who had just called his Wi-Fi hotspot Galaxy Note 7. He put in a phony SSID. Now, in that regard, you should be able to tell all the other passengers on the plane so they can all kick this guy in the nuts. Each passenger should get one free shot at this guy. Did you have something to say, Jim?
They should just hit him over and over and over again.
Beat the living hell out of this guy. That's just... How brain dead do you have to be to think this is a good idea?
Well, it's stupidity. There's a lot of it that goes on these days.
It really is. It really, utterly is ridiculous that people think that this is some kind of funny ha-ha joke that they can make that would be just amusing to, whoever.
Yep. Awful.
We'll let him go on that, folks. Join me in wishing Jim and his family a fantastic Christmas. Merry Christmas, buddy, and a Happy New Year. We won't see you again or hear from you again until the first Wednesday in July. So, as always, I hope you have a better beginning of 2017 than we had an end of 2016.
July? We're not doing any shows.
Did I say July? January. I'm sorry, January. We'll talk to you in January. Merry Christmas.
I'll just be here every Wednesday.
just hang out. I might call you next week just for the fun of it. Night, man. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right, bye-bye. I don't know why our audio went to hell there at the end. We were doing good until I started screwing with him and got him to mess with Siri. There was I talked earlier about Christmas traditions, what you do for Christmas. Food that you eat in particular on only, like I said, we only ever had mandarin oranges in my house when I was a kid at Christmas time. We only had boxes of mixed nuts. Quality Street candy was a candy we only ever seemed to have around Christmas time. For me, icy squares. I love icy squares. I don't know if you guys know what they are, but they're little foil wrapped chocolates. And I had some last week for the first time in like 10, 15 years. They're freaking awful. Didn't like them at all. That was hugely disappointing. We have the usual Christmas dinner. But is there other traditions in your family? Like for us, the tree had to be up by December 15th, no later than the 15th. It can be up as early as the 1st, but it couldn't be up any later than the 15th. And my mother put every single bauble on the tree. We as kids were not allowed to put anything on the tree. Mom did it all. We could hand them to her, but we were allowed to put them on ourselves. And my mother draped individual pieces of tinsel on the tree. As kids, she just wanted to throw it on, but she would take one piece of tinsel, it took my mother like 18 hours to deck, but it was a beautiful tree. Beautiful tree. It was always my job as a kid to untangle the Christmas lights, and I love doing that. To this day, I like untangling string or knots or shoelaces or Christmas tree lights. I don't know why. Maybe that's because I loved doing it when I was a kid. The Christmas tree came down on January 2nd because I don't know, as I've gotten older and learned more about these, it's not an unusual tradition, but in Nova Scotia, the tradition was you didn't throw anything away on January 1st. That was a bad way to start the year. So you didn't put out any garbage. You could throw things in the garbage in the house, but you didn't throw anything in the garbage can outside. So we had to make sure we were either all cleaned up on December 31st or the garbage went out on January 2nd. You couldn't throw anything away on January 1st. So we had mandarin oranges, mixed nuts, icy squares, shortbreads. Only time we ever had, and we always had Walker's shortbread cookies. But we never ate shortbreads at any other time of the year except Christmas time. And for New Year's, there's fewer New Year traditions that we had in Nova Scotia, but I've read a lot of them. When I lived down south, when I lived in Nashville, there was always the tradition on New Year's Day you had to eat black-eyed peas. My Brazilian friends have told me that, not Brazilian, Spanish friends. You have to eat 12 grapes at midnight. One grape for each month of the year. This is interesting. In many Latin American countries, New Year's revelers with a case of wanderlust will set an empty suitcase by their front door, or even drag it around in a room in circles around the block to conjure an upcoming year filled with adventure and travel. I like that one. That's kind of a neat little tradition. Argentina, beans aren't just prized for their fiber content. They're also considered to be a lucky New Year's Eve dish. Eating them right before midnight is said to provide job security for the coming year. That's weird. In Belarus, single women looking for lasting love sit in a circle, each with a pile of corn in front of her. A rooster is placed in the circle's center, and the woman whose grain heap it pecks at first is believed to be the first in the bunch to get married. Oh, dear. In Denmark, most people toss broken dishes into the trash, but in Denmark, they dispose of them in a much more creative fashion. They save them, and on New Year's Eve, they toss the shards at their friends and family's homes as a gesture of good luck. No word on whether they volunteer to clean the mess up afterwards. Danes and Germans can opt to leave a heap of broken china on the doorstep instead. Here it is, the American South. In America, many Southern families eat a festive New Year's Day dinner of collard greens, pork, and black-eyed peas. It's a very black Southern meal. The latter dish is said to bring good luck. Nobody quite knows where the tradition started, but some people say it began after the Civil War, when Union soldiers stole all the Confederate food supplies aside from black-eyed peas, thus making them lucky. Another theory is that Jews who settled in Georgia during the 18th century ate black-eyed peas to ring in the new year and brought the tradition with them. Brazil, I've seen this one in Brazil. Many Brazilians believe that giving gifts to Yamanja, an Afro-Brazilian ocean spirit, on New Year's Eve will give them newfound vitality and strength. They travel to Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro and toss white flowers and other offerings into the waves. I've seen that one. In Scotland, the first person to cross your home's threshold in the new year is required to bring you an assortment of symbolic gifts: a coin, salt, bread, coal, and whiskey. But how would you know you were the first? Do we just walk around with that stuff in your pocket, and if someone said, "Hey, first," you would then give it to them? I know there was I've heard the superstition that the first single man who walks into your home on New Year's Day will marry whatever single woman is in the house, which seems disturbing to me. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem like a good plan. In the Philippines, New Year's Eve is typically rowdy, but people in the Philippines make lots of noise. To scare off evil spirits, they bang together pots and pans, set off fireworks, even shoot guns in the air. We did that when we were kids. We definitely did the pot banging. We were allowed as kids to go out in the balcony with one of Mom's pots and a spoon and bang the hell out of that. And everyone in the neighborhood did it. Everyone around us did that. MacMan says, our tree comes down when we get around to it. Pretty sure it was up on Valentine's Day one year. Oh, dear. Logan said, Logan, I want my tree to stay up for a whole year, but Dad won't let me. Logan, and one of the reasons why is, A, it's not safe. If you're using a real tree, it'll dry out. But secondly, it's not special if it stays up year round. It's not something to look forward to if it stays lit or decorated or just even up year round. You need to take things away in order to appreciate them. Little life lesson for you there, son. Nephew's first live tree, branches chopped as time went by, only gave up in the bare trunk when they moved. Mosquito, I discovered how allergic I was to cedar one winter when I helped carry my girlfriend's tree home to her apartment. Monty doesn't like collard greens. That's because you're a white boy. Us black folks love collard greens, son. Oh, man. I can't find collard greens up here in Vancouver. We don't have any kind of black population whatsoever. I love collard greens. I'm not a fan of kale. Maurice says, my wife has a small tree in her study that's up all year long. Yeah, being from Nova Scotia, which is a very large Christmas tree growing province, even though it's a small province, we sell a lot of Christmas trees. I think I've mentioned before the tradition that in Nova Scotia, every year we send a tree to the people of Boston. It goes up in the Boston Common. It's like a 65-foot high Christmas tree to thank them for their kindness during World War I and the Halifax explosion. So I will not allow a fake tree in my home. I think they're awful. I think they're a terrible, terrible thing. Most of them are not recyclable. You have to use them for like 10 years before you get the value out of them for the most part. And I like a real tree. I like the smell of a real tree. I like I like the mess of a real tree. That's part of the fun of a real tree. And someone said on the loop, yeah, but they're a fire hazard. So's your oven, dude. If you take care of the tree, it's not a fire hazard. You water it every day, every second day, which reminds me I have to go water my tree. They're not a fire hazard if you take care of them. If you put on good lights that don't have electrical problems and you don't have the lights on constantly, it's not a fire hazard. Marie says we used to buy our scout trees from Nova Scotia to sell. Hiker BC says the last 3 years I've handed Sly's mom a 6-pack of Pilsner, and Sly still likes me. Must work. I think that's because Sly's mom likes you. That helps. I could have given Sly's mom's diamonds, and she wouldn't have liked me. Dave D, I like the fire of a real tree. In spring, place it in the fire pit, stand back, and toss a match. Yeah, they will go up good. They will definitely. A real tree burns really, really well. Oh, no, not that one. Not that one. I saw this on a website called Mental Floss. Uh-oh. There we go. I thought my video had frozen. Could you pass the civics portion of the U.S. citizenship test? Applicants must answer 6 of 10 questions correctly out of 100 different possible answers or questions. How many amendments does the Constitution have? I don't know. I want to say 27, but I don't know. 27, MacMan. What is the economic system of the United States? Capitalism. Name your U.S. representative. That doesn't count because I don't have one. What are 2 cabinet-level positions? That's easy. Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. Who is the Chief Justice of the United States right now? That'd be Chief Justice John Roberts. Who lived in America before the Europeans arrived? The natives, the native population, the real Americans. What is one thing Benjamin Franklin is famous for? Bifocals, Franklin stove, discovering, he didn't, electricity. Before he was president, Eisenhower was a general. What war was he in? Second. What did Susan B. Anthony do? Ooh, she fought for women's suffrage, I think. Yeah, fought for women's rights, for civil rights. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 9 right. So I'm allowed to be a citizen of the United States. "2016 is done. It's an awful, awful year for any number of reasons, in any number of ways. Let's just move past it. By the way, if you wanted to, if you're still thinking of a Christmas present for your favorite podcaster, it's not too late to PayPal him some money or her some money. I'm not talking about just me. But if you wanted to, every podcaster you know, every website that you know, if they're a small website, they're going to have a donate button. Go ahead and donate $10. Go ahead and donate $5, $50, whatever it is. Every podcaster, every small website would appreciate that. So if you got a little bit extra this Christmas, give it to your favorite podcaster or your website. You can subscribe to Joe Mac Life by going to the website at joemaclifeshow.com. Right there on the left-hand side, you can subscribe for $2, $5, $10, $15. It comes out of your PayPal account or your credit card. You choose how you want it to come out, and every month it sends me that money. As my friend Vito keeps reminding me, I keep forgetting to tell you guys, this is my job. Next year will be my 24th year doing Macintosh podcasting. A lot of other folks don't do this full time. This is my job. This is what I do full time. So if you want to subscribe to the show and support the show, that's the best way to do it. Just PayPal me some cash money. So what's going to happen in 2017 with regards to Apple? I don't think that 2017, if you accept the premise that 2016 wasn't Apple's best year, it wasn't their worst year, not by a long shot, but it wasn't a great year for Apple. There was a lot of things that we expected from Apple, that we wished from Apple, that others expected, and maybe even Apple themselves expected and wished for that didn't happen for any number of reasons. So that's in the past now. Let's move forward. Apple will open up their new spaceship campus in 2017. It looks amazing. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos, the drone footage, or any of the articles. It is going to be a world-class building. Apple is doing things with that building in that location that have never been tried before. The Apple campus, the spaceship campus, has the world's longest, I think, or largest single panes of glass. They are using more energy efficient and energy renewable resources than any other company headquarters. Their efforts in this regard are remarkable. It's easy for companies to say, oh, we're going to be green and we care for the environment and we want to take care of these sorts of things. But Apple is putting their money where their mouth is. They're spending enormous amounts of money when they don't strictly have to make this building, this site, this location to be as environmentally friendly as it possibly can be. I know a bunch of Apple employees who are really excited to get into the new building. Not just because of, some of them because of parking or a new office, whatever it is, but it feels to them like a new beginning for the entire company. It's not going to be, but it feels like it. They're very, very excited about the new building. So I think that's going to be a really big deal for Apple, even though it's only an Apple thing. It's only a Cupertino thing. It will affect the rest of the company from the point of view of the employees are going to be energized and excited and want to do more going forward. I think we're going to see from the reviews, AirPods obviously will be in greater availability, but I think we're going to see a lot more people buying AirPods. I think Apple is, the future is wireless in any number of ways. I think Apple is going to be not leading the way, but certainly very, very popular among iPhone users. I haven't had a chance yet to try out the AirPods. I don't really have a lot of interest in them, if only because the previous version of the AirPods were uncomfortable for me. They hurt after 20 or 30 minutes. I didn't like them. The sound quality was terrible. All those things may have changed with the AirPods, but I don't have a whole lot of incentive to want to seek them out. Plus, here in Canada, they're $200 a piece. Not a piece, not for the pair. That's a lot of money for AirPods, for earphones. I've got a great set of Etymotics. I've got a great set of Futuresonics that are both under $100. I don't need to spend $200 on the wireless ones. I think they're cool. Don't get me wrong. I think they're very, very cool. But it's not something I need right away. What do you think is going to happen with the iPad in 2017? I don't think sales are going to be huge. I think they're going to plod along the way it is. I think we're going to see some new Features, I think we're going to see some new sizes, but I don't see the AirPod being a breakaway huge. I think it'll be along the lines of the Apple TV. It'll just be interesting at times, but for the most part, the iPad is caught between that rock and that hard place of the phone and a laptop. It's not as comfortable or portable as the phone, but it's not as powerful as the laptop. It's useful, but it's not necessary. The iPhone is necessary. You've got to have a phone nowadays. You don't got to have an iPad. And that being said, though, I'd love to have an iPad Pro. I'd love to have an iPad Pro and a pencil in order to be able to do my photo editing directly on an iPad. I think it'd be very, very cool. But it's not something I think is going to be gangbusters in 2017. I think we will see new iMacs in 2017. We might see a new Mac Pro. Tim Cook's comments have been parsed any number of ways, and one of the ways is that we will see new 5K iMacs, but won't see new Mac Pros. I don't think Apple can go another full year without a new version of the Mac Pro, even if it's only an updated version of the design they have now, even if it's just new, better internals, but the same extra. The externals, I think are gorgeous. They may not be functional, but I think they're beautiful, which may be a problem with Apple has going forward. We're going to see a lot more USB-C, which is good. It's going to cause pain at the beginning, but in 2 years, 3 years' time, we won't even be talking about it. Every connection you have will be USB-C. Will Apple get into AR, VR, mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality? I don't know. I don't think so. If only because right now I think VR is more a gimmick than an actual useful product for the average person. Remember I said earlier, Apple is a consumer electronics company now. I don't see the average consumer wanting, needing, asking for virtual reality. I think this is very much like 3D TV. It's a cool gimmick, but you don't really want it. Maurice says, I think AR will be the road Apple goes down. I think that is where Apple can have the most effect among the most number of people. Now, how they do that is it going to be, what the hell? It's going to be a very, very interesting question. Augmented reality, remember, is information overlaid either on your phone or on glasses, goggles. You can try it out now. There's all kinds of augmented reality apps on your phone. And it's been around for years. I've had an app called Layers, Layars, on my phone for years. And it's, when I remember it, it's kind of cool. So imagine you're walking around a museum. And augmented reality would be you hold your phone up to that picture, that statue, that museum piece, that sword, and on your screen, on your iPhone screen, you would see the sword, but over top of that, there would be information. Where it was made, who found it, how long it is, whatever it might be. You're walking down the street and you're wondering, oh, I wonder if there's any restaurants around here that serve Italian food. You'd hold your phone up down the street, and on the screen, information would pop up about the stores in the area. Maybe there'd be even discounts. Hey, if you come into this store right now, we'll give you 10% off, or a free appetizer, or whatever it might be. That's augmented reality. I think that's easier for Apple to get into, and also makes more sense for Apple. I can't see them getting into VR just yet. Apple Car, no, we won't see an Apple Car in 2017. Move on. Someone asked an interesting question on Twitter. Do you think we'll see a full version of the Mac OS in 2017? I don't think we will. I don't think we're going to see the next full version of the Mac OS. We'll see updates, and they might be significant updates, but I don't think we're going to see a full-blown new version of the Mac OS until 2018. I think Apple is going to back off that release schedule of trying to do it every year. Dave D says, nope, Sierra's good for another year. Mosquito, there was an AR app for annotating some Roman ruins at an exhibit we saw in the Netherlands. I'd have tried it if we stayed longer. Wayne says, 2017 is when you go to Prague, right, Shawn? I'd love to go to Prague. It's not what I'm planning on doing. 2017 is the year I'm, fingers crossed, going to be going to Portugal for a photography, a workshop for beginning photography students. If you're interested in that, please send me an email. If it's something you'd like to do, I'll give you a discount. You know what? I'll say it right now. If you're interested and you sign up, I'll give you my fee off. So it's $250. We'll discount the price by that. If you know of someone who's interested and they use your name to sign up, I'll pay you $100. How's that? So it's like a finder's fee. If someone signs up and says, hey, my friend so-and-so signed up, I'll give you $100. I'll pay you to do this. If you're on Facebook, you can always share the link I've got on Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook. Or if you want more information, let me know. I posted something on Facebook that you can send around. Dave D says, I'll share that with my photo club. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. If you need more information, Dave, send me an email to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Now, this is going to be a little finicky. This is the Christmas video. Thank you guys very much for sending in the Christmas video. I really appreciate the effort that you guys went through to do that. It's very sweet of you to listen to me and create this video. Let me just get this thing set up. Now, the sound might be a little wonky. I'll post this on the website and on Twitter and on Facebook later on tonight because for some bizarre reason, Wirecast, when I play it in the Wirecast app, won't send it to Google Hangouts. So I've got to play it on my computer, and I've got another microphone pointing to the speaker. So my apologies if the sound isn't great on this, but if you want to watch it later, you can. And if you don't show up in the video, it's not because I didn't put you in, because I didn't get the video. Every video I got, I put in, even the ones with bad sound, I put those in. But I've apparently been having problems with email over the last couple of days. A lot of folks said that they'd sent it on Monday, and I never got it. And they never got a bounce back, so they didn't know. They thought I was ignoring them, but I wasn't. I don't ignore listeners. So let me see if I can't get this thing to work. So hang on a second, folks. Here is the YML Christmas video for 2016.
Hi, Shawn, and everybody in the Your Mac Life listening audience. This is Artie Boucher from Denver, Colorado, just here at work, just working on my route. Just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and a prosperous New Year. Bye.
Hi, Shawn. Here I am in Belfast Airport, just wishing you a Merry Christmas. Found some penguins to say Merry Christmas to. Thanks for all the shows. See you in 2017. Cheers, mate. Bye.
This is Joe Cios in front of the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, which you can't see if you see me. So there's a sign saying Happy Holidays to Your Mac Life. It's cold.
Merry Christmas to Shawn and everyone at YML. And a Happy New Year. Mwah.
Hey YMLers and Shawn, this is Vito. It's -13 in Prince George. Warmest it's been in 2 weeks. Wishing you all a merry, happy Christmas and New Year's. See ya.
Hi everyone, it's Sherry. I just wanted to wish everyone from the YML family a very safe and happy holiday season and all the best for 2017.
Happy winter solstice from everyone at Shea Kelmo to everyone at YML. What?
Hi, this is Lauren Finkelstein, the official Jew of Your Mac Life, and I'm here to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Hi, Shawn, and the rest of the YML listening audience. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. And this is Don Beck from the town of Chilmark on the beautiful island of Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts, wishing you all the greatest of the season to come. Bye. See ya.
Hi Shawn, it's Monty Freeman in Atlanta, Georgia, wishing you and the entire Your Mac Life family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Merry Christmas!
Thank you very much to everyone who sent in the videos. It was great to see. And Monty put a lot of effort into that. Thank you, Monty. I appreciate you doing that for me and for the audience. Folks, as always, I wish you guys the greatest of holiday seasons, no matter what you celebrate. Hopefully you'll be able to spend it with loved ones, with friends, with family. Hopefully you'll get a Christmas present or two that you really, really want or really, really didn't expect. Whether you are celebrating religiously or not religiously, hopefully you are spending it with people that you care about. Have a very happy, very safe Christmas and a wonderful, fun New Year's and New Year's Eve. And again, also very, very safe. And I won't see you guys next week, but we'll talk again in the new year. As always, thank you guys very much for being tuned in for 2016. I look forward to talking to you again in 2017. Until then, as always, I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!